If you're interested in supporting this work, you can support me on Patreon, and that will help me make more videos and more podcasts for you in the future. Click the link down below on Patreon, or I'll put the link up here in the corner to Patreon, so you can go there and become a Patreon supporter.
Get mantra and meditation MP3s at JasonGallant.ca.
Today I want to talk about external circumstances. And now a lot of people get caught up in measuring their spiritual development based on an external circumstance of some sort. Perhaps it's relationships, perhaps it's finances, perhaps it's health. And they'll look at these external conditions and say, this is not going well, according to their own measuring system, and then measure their spiritual development based on this. Now, I think a lot of this comes from the religions of the world. A lot of times religions give you a few simple steps and rules of how you're supposed to live your life and everything. But when you're on the enlightenment journey, it's really all happening internally. Now, what I mean by this is that all the shifts and all of the choices you make have to do with your internal reality. So when you know how to move within the realm of the internal, and understand who you are amidst all of this turmoil that moves through you as a physical vehicle, then some spaciousness, awareness, and wisdom starts to infiltrate your ego. Now from there, external conditions may change. Perhaps your awareness becomes clear around certain issues. Perhaps you are able to make different decisions because when there's not so much noise going on the inside, it's a little bit easier to make decisions on the outside. You don't have all the drama about it, you know? I mean, it was just raining here a little bit ago, and you know, some people, if it's raining during the time they're supposed to film a YouTube video, perhaps they're jumping up and down, swearing, getting all mad. Perhaps they're very frustrated about it, and that's okay. It's okay to express frustration. I express lots of emotions all the time for fun, and that's just what I do. It's fun to be animated, but if you're suffering, that's a different thing. So what I'm saying is, when your awareness becomes clearer, then it is easier to develop skills in life. Now, it by no means means that if you're good at a certain skill, you have a greater level of enlightenment. It just means you focused attention in that direction for a period of time. So in the healing circles and in the New Age circles, there's this misnomer out there that somebody that has such and such ability, maybe health, maybe this, that, they're on a higher level of enlightenment. And that really isn't true. Perhaps they've grounded some skill, perhaps they've grounded some wisdom, but some of the greatest sages that ever existed that assisted many people into shifting their internal reality. They shifted people into remembering who they are. A lot of times their health or their external conditions were not so pleasant, but they knew who they were amidst all of it. So their internal reality was so free that the external just didn't matter as much. It didn't matter as much as it might have mattered to you. Right? Every day I get different people misunderstanding the entire enlightenment path, and they'll comment down below about how to fix this, how to fix that, how to fix this. First, seek freedom. And if you can fix some things, well, go ahead. But if you are noticing that you're hitting a brick wall all the time when it comes to fixing some external condition, go inward. It's an invitation to go back inward. Let go. Let go of control, let go of understanding, let go of thinking about everything and solving everything. That's surrender. You see, that's what I talk about when I mean surrender. Give up internally. You still live your life, but you give up with this internal effort game that you keep playing that keeps the drama in motion. It takes two to tango, as they say, right? So there's you and your life around you, you know. Let's talk about the infinite you, all this infinite, even on this level, this grounded level, there's this stuff going on. And then there's your ego, which is in opposition to it. As long as you hold on to that opposition or that resistance, the drama will continue. It's like the game that never ends, or the song that never ends, however that saying goes. So you do the spiritual judo technique. You use all of the forces of nature. They're all flung against you, and then you just let go. Just let go. Just give up being you, give up being everything, and then allow it just to move through you like the wind. Another example would be playing tug of war. You're tugging on the rope, and then the other people are tugging on the rope. Well, if you just let go, and then all effort ceases. But it starts with letting go of effort, letting go of trying, letting go of doing. Just being. Just reset. Stop thinking. Stop being something. Chant a mantra if that helps. Breathe if that helps. You know, pranayama like fire breath. Do that for a few minutes and see what happens. A lot of clarity comes from that. So you can use this intensity that's moving through you. There's all this intensity that moves through a human being. Channel that intensity towards spiritual truth. Channel it towards a physical practice, perhaps, that is in alignment with assisting with you moving through these blockages that are within your ego, so that way you realize the truth. Putting effort into your chanting, perhaps it's yoga, perhaps it's breathing. That's a good place to put that effort. If you can't stop trying, then do that instead. Then again, that's another judo effort, right? That's another judo technique. If you know you can't stop thinking, can't stop doing, well, let's think in the right direction then. Contemplate, who is I? What is I? What is the source of I? Where in myself is I? And is there something in there that is before the thought of I? And what is that? Can that exist independent of the thought of I? You'll start to realize that the thought of I is not so important. We make it important, but it's not important at all. When you're having a conversation with people, yes, then it's important. I know there's some smart asses out there that are listening, so yes. When you're having a conversation or you're doing things, it's important to have an I, because there's some relationship, there's a relating. It's like two marbles bouncing against each other to play the game of marbles. But give up the game of marbles. Inside, when you're with yourself, give up the I. Allow the I to dissolve and then re-emerge as something organically new. You become more and more organically honest. More, I guess you could say you become more fertile. You're giving birth to a new you all the time. And this you will frustrate lots of people because it doesn't necessarily go by the same stipulations that they put on the previous you. I frustrate most people around me all the time. That was the last I that did that, not this I. So we have a little bit of a satsang going on here. So if you are trying all the time, you can't stop trying, you can't stop doing, you can't stop thinking. We'll use your thinking in the satsang direction. Perhaps attending a satsang once in a while, or listening to my podcasts or videos. These will help you with this. Or working with a teacher in person to assist you with finding the center of that storm of the mind. But if you are disciplined enough where you can just stop thinking, that cuts the head right off the chicken. There's a chicken running around, buck, 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 buck. All these problems, right? The sky's falling. I don't know if you read the book that was Chicken Little. I remember as a kid that was read to me, and Chicken Little was going around telling everybody that the sky was falling, and of course the sky wasn't falling. But that's really the mind. It was a great book. It was really satsang in a way, satsang for kids. The mind is always in panic. The mind is always thinking about stuff, always possible problems moving through it. Give that up. Just for a few moments. Give yourself a break. You can dwell all you want after you give yourself a break, but just give yourself a break. I mean, when you go to work, you have a few breaks, right? Sometimes you have a coffee break or you have a lunch break. Well, sometimes you need to take a mind break. And the shifting of this internal experience happens within. Your life on the outside can still be a disaster. Lots of things can be going on, but your experience of that disaster will be much different. And that is what the enlightenment path is about. Freedom within. Now, there's lots of different possibilities that can happen when you seek your freedom first, and then see how freedom starts to play. Sometimes freedom will play in interesting ways. And then, quite by accident, sometimes freedom solves a lot of those problems that you were so worried about before. And a lot of times, freedom will solve those problems in a much more unexpected way than you ever thought possible. I always talk to people and say, I never thought in a million years that I'd be making videos on meditation. If you would have talked to me 20 years ago and said this, I would have said, you're crazy. So there's a lot of different possibilities that can manifest in your life if you give up the mind for a moment. The mind is all just telling you stories of the past. It's nothing more than reruns of the Brady Bunch. Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. Always the same freaking problem every week. Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. This is Jan Brady. I don't know if you remember that, but Jan Brady was always talking about Marsha. So your mind is just rehashing the same stuff over and over again, the reruns. Give up the reruns. Dare to make a new program. The new HBO special or something. I don't know what we're going to call it, but so remember not to measure yourself based on what's going on in the world, not what's going on in your life, the different games that the mind's come up with, the different measuring that the mind is saying, that this means you're more enlightened and this means you're less, this means you're more spiritual, this means you're progressing, this means you're regressing. Give that all up. Those are all thoughts. It's just a sneaky spiritual trap of the mind. So I hope this helps you on your spiritual journey. Take care for now. Those of you who are interested in taking a formal course on enlightenment, my teacher Aratima offers a formal course called the Wisdom Life School. You can get more information at aratima.com.